And all right, this is another Mentorship Masters Roundtable meetup. This is a very, 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 very special one. Actually, let me reposition myself here. I like that better. Oh, let me turn on my lights. And let me start the timer. Here we go. That's an hourglass. So when the sand runs out, we're out of time. All right, so today we're going to talk, this is a very special one because we're going to talk all about lead generation. If you want more leads, this is the one for you. And I'm doing this one actually, especially for those of you that have been asking me like, Knolly, man, where do I begin? How do I get started with lead generation? And so I'm doing this especially for you. And I know Dinko is in the house, so this is actually specially being done for you, Dinko, as well. And then there's a couple other folks that I talked to this week, Pat and George, won't say their last name, give them away, but they had the same question, like, how do I begin generating leads? You know, where do I begin? By the way, before we even get into that, I want to share with you guys that you guys are doing phenomenal. You're knocking it out of the park. You're doing so, so well. And I'm just in awe of how well you guys are doing production wise. So if you're not quite at the production that you want to be, this class is for you. So all right, so uh, one thing that I do want for us to be praying for Judy Welch. She had her mom passed away, and so she's going through a difficult time with that. You might remember that her father passed away recently as well. So let's keep Judy in our prayers. Our mentorship master Judy, we're praying for you and your family during this difficult time. Let me share my screen quickly. And we got a lot of y'all in the house. I appreciate you guys for being here. This is going to be a great one for you. Okay, so this is what we call Mentorship Masters Roundtable Meetup. I know I got the announcement out a little bit late, so thank you guys for joining. We do this every single week, and let me just make sure. Okay, so this is what we're going to be talking about today, Lead Gen 101. Okay, Lead Gen 101. If you think you know how to generate leads, that's cool. This class is for you. And if you're just like, Knolly, where do I get started? I keep getting distracted. I don't know what to do. This class is for you as well. Before we begin, we're going to do a little bit of family business. Okay, we spend about 10 minutes doing family business, and then we're going to get right into the meat of our training. So these are the new masters that have just recently, joined us here. And look where they're coming from, all over the place: California, New York, New Jersey, South Carolina, Missouri, Florida, Maryland, Georgia, Alabama. I'm telling you, we've got masters coming. God is bringing them. God is bringing them from all over. And we're excited about that. Also, let me, hold on a second. Okay, here. I just want to make sure you guys can see me. Okay, so these are our Masters of the Month, top producers. And we're actually, Chris is going to be working on this sometime in the next week or so to do our updated list. But these are our Masters of the Month, crushing it, knocking it out of the park, going toward that 100% commission, baby. Remember, when you cap here at EXP, you go to 100%. And these are our ambassadors, okay? Ambassadors are those that have invited someone to Mentorship Masters, okay? That person is joined, then you become an ambassador of Mentorship Masters. Yay! Thanks for all of you ambassadors out there. We're gonna get this list updated as well because some of you guys are absolutely crushing it. I know Stuart's working on some new people, and I know that Mark Phillips has already moved up. He's right here. He's got 4. I think he's already got 6. So Mark Phillips is now in 3rd place, and I think he's brought on 3 people in the last 30 days. So he's got the bug. He's got he's bringing them in. We know that the more people that we bring into our family, the more people that can be successful in this business. EXP in the news, the biggest news that we've got going on right now is we have a stock split. So if you want to learn about that, just Google it, EXP stock split. Um, that's a good thing, by the way. Our stock price has gone off the chart. This time last year, it was about $7 or $8 a share. Now it's over $100 a share. And the other big news is that we're opening in Hong Kong. Yes, Hong Kong. I've got, Josie and I have friends from Hong Kong, many friends from Hong Kong, actually. So we'll be opening there. We just opened in Puerto Rico. We're opening in Italy, and we're going to continue to open 4 countries per quarter. Okay, so be on the horizon for that. We're already open in India, Mexico, and so on. Now, remember we talked about a couple weeks ago the Mentorship Masters webinar. Okay, so now I've already, it's already up, it's already running, it's created. So this is going to be an easy way for you guys to invite people that you're talking to, other agents that you're talking to Mentorship Masters. Okay, it's super duper easy. They just go to mentorshipmasters.live, and that's a special free daily masterclass that is, of course, it loops, okay, but it's there. It's really, really good. We've had very, very good response from it. And it's a combination of sharing with them everything about Mentorship Masters, and then also sharing with them everything about EXP as well. So it's a sort of a combination class where they get it all, and they can kind of understand the big picture of what we're trying to do here at EXP. You know, we're a Christ-centered group, and we're all about success. Let's hold on one second. I've got a few people. All right, here we go. A few people just came into the class. Welcome, y'all. Okay, so Lead Gen 101, Lead Gen 101, and I've got several of our star masters here. You know, we appreciate you guys. You guys are crushing it, and I'm going to kind of share with you a little bit about what these folks are doing. And actually, what I want to do first is I want to talk a little bit about some of the masters here, because you know we all want that success, right? We all want that success. We want to do the $250,000 or more a year and all the other stuff that comes with it. We'll talk about that in a moment. But you've got to put in the work, okay, to get the results. You've got to put in the work to get the results. Now, raise your hand if you're willing to put in the work. I want to see some hands. Okay, I see some hands up. Let me okay, let's try that again. Raise your hand if you're willing to put in the results. Okay, I see. Woo, look at that. All right, Steve got both hands raised. I see some of y'all. Sean's got his hands up in the air. Okay, Cynthia is in the house as well. All right, okay, Pamela, I see you. I see you. All right. So there's Steve Harbor. He looks like he's in the car. Hey, don't take your hands off the steering wheel, Steve. Keep driving now. Chris is in the house. So Lucas is in the house as well. So I see a lot of you guys are in the house. Al, what's up, Al? Al, I heard from Al. He was like, man, I want that $250,000 a year. So this is what it's all about. So if you're willing to put in the work, trust me, you're going to get the result. If you're willing to put in the work and write this down, if you can write. Steve, I don't want you to be writing anything, but if you can write this down. Okay. If I'm going to get to the result, I've got to put in the work. Okay. Write that down. If I'm going to get to the result, I've got to put in the work. Now, what's that like? Let me explain that to you for a minute. I used to be a baker. Cakes, cookies, pies, cobblers, you name it, I could make it. Okay. I did that. I started baking when I was 13 years old, and I would bake probably every single week, something, cake, pie, cookie, cobblers, all kinds of stuff. And one of the things that I learned is that when you bake, baking is science. It's not cooking. Now I know how to cook too. I got cooking skills too, y'all. But cooking and baking are two different things. Baking is more of a science, meaning that it's precise ingredients. Okay. If you put in a tablespoon of salt instead of a teaspoon, you're going to get a different product. Okay. If you put in, you know, a tablespoon of sugar instead of a cup of sugar, it's going to come out different. Okay. And so the ingredients, and I made everything from scratch. Okay. My pie crust, scratch. My cakes, scratch. Okay. And I'm talking about good stuff now. Now, I don't eat that way anymore. But here's the thing. I learned a valuable lesson in that in order to get the cake, to get the chocolate cake that was in the picture, I had to follow the recipe. Okay. Now I see a lot of agents out there, not in our group, thank God. God forbid any of you guys would do this, but I see a lot of agents out there that are trying to get the result. They want the cake that's in the picture, but they're not following the recipe. Okay, is that tracking with some of you guys? They're not following the recipe. They're doing everything else to get the cake. So you've got to, in order to get the result, you got to put in the work and write this down. The work ain't hard. if you want to be correct, the work is not hard. Okay. But I just say it, the work ain't hard. It's not hard, guys. Not Uncle Knolly will not have you doing hard work. Okay. That's not what this is about. But it has to be precise. So let's get into what is that work. Okay, and that's what we're going to get into here. So let's get back to our, okay, so Lead Gen 101. I'm going to share with you the results, some of the results first, because a lot of times in order to get to that final cake, you want to see what the result looks like. I mean, how'd you like to make a recipe without seeing a picture of it first? Most people like to see the picture of the recipe, the finished product, and then they're like, "Oh, I want to make that." Right? Or they look in the menu and they say, "Man, I like the way that dish looks. I'm going to order that one." Or you look on Yelp or your Google reviews and you're like, "Man, I like what that guy ordered. I'm going to order that." Or if you like my wife, she likes to look around at everybody's plate in the restaurant. She's like, "Hey, what are you eating?" She'll go up and ask them, "What are you eating?" She'll even ask them for, well, I won't get into this, but she has had multiple people give her samples of their food with no problem. This is pre-COVID now. And it was no problem. She has no shame in that, in her game with that. So I want to show you the result, and then I'm going to show you how to get to the result. Okay. So let's do that real quick. I'm going to show you some of our masters that have already gotten to the finished cake. Okay. And then, I'm going to be checking the chat box here. If you have any comments or questions, put them in the chat. I'll be checking those as well. So let's talk about Mina. Mina went from 0 to 6 figures fast. Okay, you've maybe some of you have heard her story. When she came to Mentorship Masters, Mina had not had a closing in 8 months. Okay, 8 months. She, imagine going 8 months without a closing. Okay, some of you guys don't have to imagine that if you're new to the group and you haven't been putting in the work. So her question to me was, "Knolly, is this the real deal? Are you going to help me succeed?" And I just talked to Mina about a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. She put 8 deals under contract, okay, in 2 weeks. 8 deals. Now, going from 8 months without a paycheck to putting in 8 deals with, and her biggest struggle was, "Man, Knolly, I don't know how I'm going to keep this up. I can't keep up," right? So now she has another problem with it, which is more of a leverage problem. Now look at Artemis. He came into the group. He made $12,000 on his very first deal. Brand new agent, didn't know anything about real estate, but he's putting in the work and he's doing what I teach. Susie Floyd, same thing. Susie Floyd, her first year in real estate, she made 40,000 bucks. She was at which some people are like, "That's cool," but she wasn't cool with that. Now, Susie was a nurse for 23 years. Okay, 23 years she was a nurse. She retired, got into real estate, made 40 grand her first year. And but that was with a different company. Okay, she joined us here at EXP Mentorship Masters, and her first year with us, okay, she did over 150,000. Okay, over $150,000 commission in her pocket. This year she's on track to do over 300,000. She's only been in the business 2 years. 2 years. She just started her 3rd year. Now let's look at David Dutton. David is a $10 million producer, and he was at Keller Williams for 14 years. Okay. In fact, he started right out of college. You know what he did when he graduated from college? He went and joined Keller Williams as an agent, was there for 14 years. And he was like, "Man, Knolly, I need to do more." He's been with us for 18 months. He's already got over 25,000 in stock. that was awarded to him for doing the same things he was doing before. And guess what? His business is thriving. His sales are up. Okay. So this is not just something that this training today is not just for brand new agents or agents that aren't doing well. It's also for those of you that are doing 10 million, 20 million, 30 million. Like, like we have several members in our group that are doing 30 million in production. Yeah, that's right. We have 3 members in our group that make around $1 million a year in commissions. Okay. So this is for them. This is one of them, Will Gilliam. He makes about $500,000 in commission. And he hit Icon last year. He had a thriving independent with 18 agents. Okay. But now his goal was like, man, I want to retire with $20,000 a month in residual income. Okay. He's doing the work to get the result. Now let's look at Tanika Belfield Martin and Charles Lee. Okay. Both of them were part-time agents. Charles was an IT professional for 30 years. He was doing a job. He was working in a job that he no longer liked. Now, when he first became an IT guy, he loved it. Okay. But 30 years in or 25 years in, he began to hate his job. Okay. And I was able to share with him how to leave that dead-end job and go full-time into real estate, which he did, okay, this past year with us. He was able to go full-time into real estate. Same thing with Tanika. Tanika was a full-time, she was a dual career, okay, and she's doing the work, okay, she's doing the work and she's getting the result. She's already capped. She's at 100% commission. She capped in 5 months. She's on her way to Icon. Well, she's going to get all of her commission back. And so in the form of stock and so on. So there's more. Look, if I was to go through all the results that we've gotten here at Mentorship Masters, we'd be here all day. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to show you how are these people getting these results. Okay. How many of you raise your hand if you too want results? You want results like this. Okay. Raise your hand. Or you want to continue having this kind of results. Well, here's what they're doing. It's not a mystery. I'm going to show you what they're doing to get it right now. So and as you guys already know, this is old hat to you. Here's what I teach. Earn $250,000 or more a year, working 20 to 30 hours a week or less, having nights and weekends off, 4 to 5 vacations a year, and be debt-free. Now, if you're not getting this right now, if you're a mentorship master and you're not getting this, or you're not on the road or the trajectory of this in your business, then you're doing something amiss. I was going to say you're doing something wrong, but this is not about right or wrong. Okay. Now, also, you may be like, man, I don't want $250,000 a year. I'm cool with 100,000. Okay. And you might be a part-time agent that loves doing real estate part-time. I'm going to show you how to make doctor money. Okay. Working part-time. I mean, you can work 20, 30 hours a week in your real estate business. I worked last year about 4 or 5, maybe 5 hours a week at the most in my real estate practice, and I still made 6 figures, okay, in real estate. So, so let's look at it. How are we going to do this? So here's the first principle that I want you to understand and write down. Lead generate based on your personality profile, okay? Lead generate based on your personality profile. If you don't do that, you're going to have a miserable time with lead generation, okay? Here's what you want to do. You want to take the DISC profile. Many of you have already taken it. Understand what DISC is. I've got 3 or 4 videos where I break down the DISC and I go through various profiles and I explain to you what each profile is, how it operates, and what you should be doing based on your profile. So if you haven't taken the DISC, you can take it for free on my website. You can go to knolly.com. There's a link there. Now, the other thing you want to do is take the Wealth Dynamics test. Okay. Now, Wealth Dynamics that test is $100. Okay. It's $97, but it is well worth it. If you really, 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 really want to know who you are, Wealth Dynamics is going to help you. I know many of you have taken like the Myers-Briggs. Back in the day, we took the AVA. When I was at Keller Williams, we had the KPA. I mean, they're all kind of similar, if you will, but the Wealth Dynamics is the one that we more or less follow here as a group more than anything else. But you've got to pay for that one. Artemis is, we actually have 2 practitioners in our group that teach Wealth Dynamics. That's Tony Patillo and Artemis Prime. Okay. So you can reach out to them as well. And know thyself. Okay. Very important that you know thyself. Okay. You spend some time getting to know who you are, and that will really lead you down the right path for lead generation. Okay. We'll get into this a little bit here in a minute as well. So why is learning how to lead generate so important? Let me open the chat. I want to hear some answers to this. Why is learning how to lead generate so important? All right, so I'm actually going through the chat. You guys go ahead and put that in. Put in your thoughts on this because I want this to be interactive. Josie says, I'm going to read some of these chat comments. Josie's saying, hey, hello from Austin, Texas. It's going to be 85 degrees today. That's right, 85 degrees. So Josie and I are actually going to go play a little bit this afternoon. We're going to have some fun. Rebecca says she's coming up. Rebecca got a new listing today as well. High five, Rebecca. She got another listing a week ago. Rebecca is doing the work. Rebecca Wooten is doing the work. Yeah, Judy says, if I'm going to get the result, I've got to put in the work. Why is lead generating so important? Put your comments in. I want to see that. All right, so Pamela says it builds a source of business. Rebecca just puts a dollar sign. Duh, money, fool. No leads equals no business. I like that. No leads equals no business. And I like to put it this way. That's Sean White. Now, Sean, I like to put it this way. Prospecting equals paychecks. Okay, prospecting equals paychecks. Not prospecting equals poverty. That's the truth. Let's see here. Rebecca got another listing from the same neighborhood. Good for you, Rebecca. Lead generation is important because the fortune is in the follow-up. I like it. You guys are listening. I love you guys. Chris says, so you can do it effectively. It's important. Cynthia says, keeping the pipeline full. Thank you, Cynthia. That is so true. Remember, we had a training for those of you that are keeping up a few weeks ago on how to fill your pipeline. This training is similar to that in that, but it's going to teach you more of the specifics of what you should be doing. Rebecca says, keep the pipeline full. Doug says to get appointments and to get listings. Duh. And to have a listing business, you need to lead generate. Sita, thank you, Sita. That's so right on. Love it. And then prospecting equals paychecks. That's right. Okay, so thank you guys for that. So I want to give you sort of an analogy. And here's what I want to ask you. Which lion do you want to be? Okay, now I know this is a bit sad. This lion over here is a bit sad. This is a real photo of a lion in captivity. Okay, now lead generating is different from lead receiving. Let me explain this to you. Lead generating is different from lead receiving. I run into a lot of real estate agents that want to go to a real estate company or they want to join a team because they're going to receive leads. Okay, receive leads. So I want you to write this down. Generate leads. Write that down. Generate leads. Then underneath it, write receive leads. Receive leads. Generate leads, receive leads. Now, which one of those feels better to you? Now, all of us want to receive something, don't we? We like receiving. Let me see what you guys are saying. So, okay, you guys are on point. Pamela says generate. Charles says generate. Learn to fish. Mark says both. I want both. I like that. Sometimes you like what's given, Pamela. So here's the thing. We all want to receive leads, and I get that because when we're young, when we're kids, we like to receive stuff. We're like, Mama, I want that popsicle. I want that lollipop. I want this candy bar. I want that. And what's Mama say? You ain't getting it, boy. You ain't getting it, girl. You know, you slap your hand. No, we're not gonna buy everything we see in the checkout stand. or that you see in the grocery store just because you see it and you want it. Okay. So, so there's something to be said about receiving, but ultimately, if you build your business around receiving leads, that's basically a slave master relationship. Just want you guys to understand that that's a slave master relationship. So you are ultimately beholden to the master because whoever generates the leads is king. Okay. Now you become like this lion over here that grew up in captivity. That lion can never become this lion. Why? Because the lion never learned how to hunt. Okay. What Uncle Knolly is here to teach you is how to hunt for yourself. If you want someone to feed you, you want to become an aristocrat, okay, or you want to become like the like the so-called nobility, um, and you want to just sit around and wait to be served, okay, that's laziness. Okay, that's just being lazy, guys. Let's snap out of that mentality and let's become the king of the jungle that surveys his property, his or her property, that goes out and is capable of bringing in the dinner, that doesn't really need. See, I want you guys to get to the point where you don't need Uncle Nolly. You're like, man, Nolly, I don't need you anymore. And that's cool. That's what I want. You know, the reality is when Jesus went out and he taught his disciples, now, ultimately, you know, the way I see it, I'm always going to need Jesus, right? But he was like, look, you guys have learned enough. Now you go out there and do it. I'm out. I'm out. You know, I'm still going to be with you. I'm with you always, but I'm not going to physically be with you. Why? Because I'm sending you out to handle your business, right? And that's what you want to be. You want to be that lion that isn't in a cage, fed his meals every day. You want to be the one, the king of the jungle, because that is your destiny. That's what you deserve. That's where you belong. And that's why I teach you how to lead generate. It all begins with this. You've got to do the two. Okay. Write that down. Do the two. You know, I don't care if you got it written down 1,000 times, write it down again. Do the two. Do the two. Now, those of you that are new, do the two is 2 hours of lead generation every single day from 9 to 11, preferably Monday through Thursday. Okay. And then Friday, you do the two for agent attraction, and you're helping to build, okay, the kingdom. I consider Mentorship Masters a ministry, okay, that I have. You guys have to understand that 90+% of EXP groups don't do weekly training. They don't have meetups like this. They don't have accountability partners. They don't have any of this stuff that we put together for you guys. They just don't. Okay. And I know when I was sponsored into Keller Williams, my sponsor didn't teach me, you know, 3 pages of information. And I was there for 10 years. My dedication is to sow into you guys so that you know everything that I know and beyond. I want you to get beyond the production that I had, okay, you know, in my career. So do the two will help get you there. Now, here's some key secrets. Key secrets. This is very important. So take a screenshot of this or, you know, snap a shot of this. So key secrets to success. Number one, you must time block for lead generation every day. Okay, every day you must time block for lead generation. Now, you must focus on the 3 buckets. Okay, the 3 buckets. And we'll talk about what those are. You must remove thinking from the equation. This is very important for you guys to understand this concept. Your lead gen efforts must be systematic. Okay, when you sit down to lead generate, you've got to eliminate thought. You've got to eliminate thinking. You cannot think, guys. Okay, thinking is not allowed. Number 4, your lead gen focus should be on listings. You know, I can't harp this enough. I wrote 2 books, which I'll share with you in a minute, Success with Listings and Triple My Listings. What do they have in common? Listings. And it almost bewilders me how many agents that I teach, and then they go out there and they start working buyers. And I'm like, where in my training did you get that? It's just not there. And I get it that that's the low hanging fruit. You go out, oh, this person wants to go ahead and buy. I'm not telling you not to work with anybody. Work with everybody you get your hands on, but focus your lead generation efforts on listings. Does that make sense? Now, and don't reinvent the wheel. Okay. These are the 5 tenets that I want you guys to really, really take to heart. Number 3, a lot of you guys don't understand number 3, where I say you have to remove thinking. Okay. But what I want you to think about, and I'm gonna come up with a tool, a system that I think will help you with this. But I've got I use the reminders app on my iPhone. Okay. And for those of you that don't have an iPhone, there's a place called the Apple Store. You can go get one. Just kidding. If you got an Android, I ain't hating on you. But you'll have a similar app where you go, you have your reminders. And so what I do at the very top of mine, you can see that, do the 2, agent attraction. And right under that, I said, my sheep hear my voice. Okay. And then one of my main questions, because I'm a Lord, I always ask the question, how can this be done without me? Okay. So these are my reminders as it relates to my doing the 2. Okay. Now, when I get into this, when I go to do my 2 every day, I don't have to think. If you sit down and start thinking, it deflated the whole purpose. Okay. What you want to do is sit down and get to work. You don't want to have any thought involved in the process. Okay. Uncle Knolly has thought it through for you. I've thought from A to Z. The thoughts have already been done, and you don't have to do any thinking on your part. You just have to take action, period. Okay. There's no thought required. You don't have to cut and paste this. You don't have to rebuild or reinvent the wheel. You just have to do. That's it. My job, quite frankly, and quite sincerely, is always to remove thinking from the equation so that you guys don't have to think. Okay. Well, how am I going to do this? Whenever you start asking how, you're thinking. Stop it. Stop it. All right. So let me see if you guys have any chats that I need to get to. Okay. So Dinko says, okay. So Dinko says, what helps me is as I write down my to-do list on flashcards. Oh, I like that, Dinko. That's good. That's old school, buddy. I like old school stuff. I write it down on flashcards so that I don't think, and keeps me more productive, even if it is call car insurance. And that way I don't have to think. Minimize the thinking and anxiety, and you'll be productive. I like that, Dinko. That's a great, there in the chat, Dinko put that. That's great. Pamela says, overthinking. What I'm saying is I don't want you to think at all. I don't want you to have any thought. Remove all thought. I was in a class one time. I'll share this quick story. I was in a class one time, and I was sitting a couple of rows back. Yeah, I like that, Pamela. Just do it. I was sitting a couple of rows to the right. Gary Keller was teaching the class, and there was a guy in the front row. And so Gary would start saying, okay, now the next thing you do is you do this. And let me see if I don't have Gary's, that book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. When I got into real estate, I didn't put any thought in it because I didn't have any thoughts. I didn't know what I was doing. I'm a brand new agent. Okay. Raise your hand if you're brand new. I was a brand new agent back then. I didn't have any thoughts about it. So I just said, well, the man says to do this, so that's what I'm going to do. I removed thinking. Well, there was a guy in the front row, and he kept asking questions. So Gary would start teaching. I think he was teaching Quantum Leap. And Gary would start teaching the class, and the guy would raise his hand. He said, what can I help you with? And the guy would say, well, I don't understand because of this and that and that. So Gary would answer his question politely, and then he'd move on with his training. Finally, about an hour in or so, the guy was asking so many questions. You ever been in a class where it's that guy or that gal that just holds up the whole class, right? They're asking so many questions. So finally, I was like, man, so Gary shut him down. He said, you know what your problem is? I thought he was going to kick him out of the class, but he didn't do that. Gary's been known to do stuff like that. But what he said was, he said, you know what your problem is? The guy says, what's my problem? He said, your problem is you're thinking. That's your problem. He said, I want you to stop that. The guy was like, what? Stop thinking? See, some of you guys that can't even understand, wrap your mind around the idea of not thinking. You don't have to put any thought to this, guys. That's what I'm here for. I've already thought it through. And by the way, what I teach, I say there's nothing new under the sun. These are not original trainings. I mean, I didn't invent any of this stuff. Okay. These are what we call best practices. Write that down. Best practices. You know what best practices are? That is when you study all of the top, most professional people in the business and you do what they do, those are called best practices. Okay. And I'm a studier of success. I've studied success. Okay. And so I'm a student of it. And so I'm sharing with you how to get there. Now, I've got a couple of books. Obviously, you guys should have these in your library. If you don't, you can get them both for free at knolly.com. Okay. So Success with Listings, this is more of a handbook, A to Z of what to do with a listing and so on. It's got 5 chapters on lead generation. This book right here is all about lead generation, period. Okay. 27 marketing ideas for free seller leads. Now, there's 3 lead buckets for a top listing agent. The first bucket is your sphere of influence. Your second bucket is your farm, and your third bucket is your niche. Okay. Now, if you're, and by the way, you want to work them in this order right here that I have it written down, SOI first, then farm, and then niche. Now, let's say, for example, you're brand new to an area. Like, for example, Dinko is going to be moving to a new city. Okay. So what you're going to want to do is work these in reverse. If you're brand new, okay, not to real estate, but you're brand new to the area and you haven't built a big enough SOI in that area, you're going to work these in reverse. You're going to start with your niche, open up your farm, and then build your SOI from those two. Now, let's go through these. First of all, your sphere of influence. What I recommend is an 18 touch campaign. Okay. Now, I know back in the day, they used to teach 33 touch and all this other stuff. You don't need it. Throw it out. Okay. Throw it out the window. 18 touches is all you need to succeed in this business. One day I'll kind of I'll share with you guys how the 33 touch came about. It's quite interesting, but just trust me, you don't need it. 18 touch is all you need. And I use the KISS method. Okay, what's KISS stand for? Keep it simple, stupid. Some would say that. Now, I don't talk to you guys that way. So I say keep it simple, sweetheart. Okay, or keep it super simple. I like to call it 2 glasses of wine simple. I just had my second glass of wine and I can still understand what he's saying. If it's not that simple, trust me, you won't do it. I've coached tens of thousands of real estate agents, and I know that the human being, the Homo sapiens, we will do something when it's simple. When you try to make something complex, it might feel good and look good to the ego, but it's no good. Throw it out. Okay. So this is what you want to do: a monthly e-newsletter. Okay. And More Souls is one that you can get. It's $5 a month. If you're in Mentorship Masters, More Souls is free. Okay. And we send out a monthly newsletter every single month, 12 times a year. And then Stuart Sutton has something that he's going to be launching very soon called Monday Morning Coffee. And I like that. I really like that a lot. So we'll be introducing that to you guys later. But that's where you can send an e-newsletter every single week to your group, I mean, to your database. So you want to have some kind of an electronic, newsletter. Then you want to do a quarterly postcard. That's 4 times a year. And then you want to do a semi-annual phone call to your top 200, just your top 200. So you're only calling people in your SOI. Now you can do more than this if you choose to, but here's what I want you to have in this business: longevity. Write that down. Knolly wants me to have longevity in the business. Now, if you remember stories like Pinocchio or Little Pilgrim's Progress, some of you guys remember stories like that, or Pilgrim's Progress. How many of y'all have read these kind of stories when you were maybe younger? You read stories like this. One of the things that you'll remember about the principal character is that the character kept getting sidetracked and distracted. Okay. And I see that sometimes in my students. I see that and sometimes in the agents that I coach. Pinocchio, you know, Geppetto told him, hey man, little boy, this is how you want to succeed. This is what you want to do. And what did he do? He went off on this, and he went over to that, and he went over to this. Okay. Little Pilgrim's Progress or Pilgrim's Progress, same thing. The guy kept wandering off to other stuff. And sometimes when I'm teaching you this stuff, it might seem too simple. And you say, man, there's a buyer, I can go pay for these buyer leads, or I can do a Zillow campaign, or I can do this Facebook marketing, or whatever it is, whatever shiny object you're going after. I get that. It seems like, man, that's easy right there. I'm just going to do that. But what I'm telling you is eventually you're going to swing back, you know, like many of my students do, and you're going to have to reboot. You're going to have to restart. You're going to have to and you're going to be burnt out because you didn't see. This is what we call it. I'm teaching you how to have a career in the game. Okay. Not a run. Okay. How many of y'all want to have a successful run in the game? No, I'm talking about having a career. Okay. I had a 10-year career in real estate and I opted out. I said, you know, I'm good. Paid off my house. I got no debt. You know, everything's paid. I can do whatever I want. What do I want to do next? What's the next chapter? Now, for some people, it's going to be to continue to sell houses. For me, it wasn't. It's to basically teach you guys how to become great and become your ultimate greatness. So this is an easy 18-touch campaign. If you're not doing this, you're not getting results. You're not getting success. Okay. Super easy to do. In fact, I even tracked how long this would take. If you implement this system, you're not going to have to make more than one phone call a day. Okay. And the quarterly postcard, I recommend you do the same postcard and send it out 4 times for that year. Next year, you can do a new one. Okay. But make it super stupid simple. Okay. That's your SOI. Now your farm. Once you've got your SOI. Now, by the way, is Knolly against paying for leads? Okay. Am I against you guys buying leads? Let me hear it. Let me see.
Hey, Knolly.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Dinko. How you doing?
Good. Good. How are you?
Hey, doing good. On the SOI calls that people make, I think it would be people have an issue with like the openers and stuff. And what they could just do when they're calling people is just be like, hey, Bob, just calling you. I'm expanding my business. And I was just wondering if you would even feel comfortable if somebody was to buy or sell real estate of recommending me. So you just kind of open a conversation. So that's like a little opener that would be able to, for SOI calls and stuff like that.
I like it. I like it. That's good. That's good.
Knolly, I was listening to Kevin and Fred, and who's that other guy that they bring on with the dark hair?
The dark hair guy.
Yeah.
What
The
about
coach guy. I can't remember his name, but he did something really cool. So he said, if you're not comfortable calling yet, he said he just, you need to get comfortable calling. So he said, just call like 100 people and say hi. You said that one day too, you know.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know what to say, and he said, don't use a script because you got to just do it. You got to get comfortable with it and do it. And I thought that was great. I wanted to pass that on.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, just start with hello.
Yes. Yeah.
I like that. That's really good advice. Anybody else want to chime in? And by the way, Dinko texted me a couple of days ago. He told me he's made over 2,000 phone calls in the last, I don't know how many days. Crazy. And some of you guys aren't now these are not when we're talking about SOI, we're not talking about cold calls. These are calls to your sphere of influence. If you've got this book, and all of you should have it, I've got some scripts in here for how, because a lot of people are like, what do I say to my SOI? And I do have right here, that's idea number 3, call your SOI at least twice a year. And here's a script. Okay. But I like what Rebecca and Dinko are saying, because some of you guys don't like scripts, and I get that. Okay. But you're thinking again. Okay. Well, if I this and that, stop thinking. Just do what I tell you to do and you'll succeed. I'm not saying that with a cockiness. I know it works. Whenever somebody comes to me and says, man, I'm not hitting my numbers. I know they're not doing the work. Okay. And right now on this training, that's what I'm describing what the work is. Pamela,
now,
yeah, go ahead, Pamela.
Oh, I was just going to say what I wrote in the chat. I started doing what you told me to do. So I'm having success. But I just wanted to say that when I call people, they're hungry for connection. Like in California, we're still primarily on lockdown. And when you call them up, they're so happy to hear from you. Doesn't matter what you're saying. They're like, oh, okay. So it seems a little easier during the pandemic to say, just checking on you. People want to be checked on. They want to be, connected.
I love it. I'm glad you mentioned that. And, because we have this inner voice within us, I call it the ego, that says, man, you can't call that person. They're just you're just calling them to get business. You're not genuinely, you don't really care about that person. All this little chatter. And that's just self-limiting beliefs. And it's just monkey mind, what we call it, monkey mind. The brain is always mentating. Okay. It's always coming up with thought, right? It just, you can't, just right now, just tell your brain to stop thinking. Did it work? No. Okay. The ego is always playing in the background. It's a never ending chatter. Okay. So what you got to do is you have to learn to start to be the observer, the witness of what's going on and not the participant. That's the reason why, for example, like our book of the month this month, I know I'm getting a little off track, but our book of the month is letting go. Okay. The pathway of surrender. One of the things that I had to learn to surrender was the need to be right. Okay. I believe I'm right about a lot of things, but I don't need to be right. Okay. And if you want to be right, I'm okay with that. Somebody says, well, Knolly, I don't think any of the stuff you teach works. Okay. Did you have anything else for me? I'm not going to defend it. I'm not going to, that's like talking to truth is truth. Write that down. Truth is truth. Okay. Think about the sky. The sky is true. Somebody says, I don't believe in the sky. Okay. It's still there, and you're going to have a fight with the sky. That's like power versus force. You're not going to win. Right. So if someone doesn't believe what I tell them and all that, I'm okay with that. Well, I don't think any of this stuff works. Okay. Did you try it? Nah, I never tried it. Okay. Well, if you tried it, it works. Right. So letting go is our book of the month. All right, let's get back into the other two methods. One of the questions that came up is, how do you know, and I'm going to answer this very, very, very succinctly, which lead generation method, and it doesn't say the name of this person, but it says which lead gen method is appropriate for which personality type. Can you please repeat the method and so on? So, all right, so let me answer that very quickly. The way that you know if a method is appropriate to your personality profile is how do you feel about it when you think about doing it, okay? Now, you're gonna have a little bit of awkwardness and uncomfortableness about doing a lot of the things that I ask you to do, okay? Like, for example, calling your sphere of influence. You need to call them, okay, period. That's not a cold call. I'm not asking you to do a cold call. But when you go through this book, 27 marketing ideas, there's going to be some ideas in here that make you cringe, like going out and meeting with attorneys, bankruptcy attorneys, and so on, to get a list of clients. Some things are going to make you cringe, and there's going to be other things that like, man, I can do that. In fact, there's one idea that I teach that one person took and ran with it, and that's this idea number 5: recruit your top 25 contacts to generate leads for you. Okay. And that's a whole system that I teach on how to get your top 25 people in your city that are close to you to generate each of them 4 to 5 leads a year based around a higher goal, a higher cause. Okay. So like wheelchairs for warriors or whatever it is. So it's got scripts and a whole system in here for how to do that. Some of you guys are like, man, I'll never do that. Okay. So whichever ones you feel more comfortable with are going to be more suited to your personality profile. Some of us are introverts. Some of us, are extroverts. Some of you guys are D's. Some of you guys are high I's, S's, and C's. I have like maybe 3 to 5 trainings on DISC. So just look those up, read through those. Also read through your DISC personality profile. And, but yeah, you'll know which ones you like to do and which ones you don't. And your personality profile, your personality will tell you. Okay, let me get back to the training because I've got 2 more things I want to share with you guys. And then I'm going to see what other questions we have. So your farm, okay, I can tell you guys and gals that most of y'all are not farming. Okay, no, you haven't started this yet. And what is a farm? A farm is geographical. It's 500 plus homes, 7% minimum turnover. Average sale price should support your goals, and it should be nearby. Okay, that's how you pick a farm. That's how you know if it's a good farm. All right. And I go into farming. I have a lot of training on farming. I go into farming in Triple My Listings in detail and Success with Listings. Okay. And I have whole trainings on farming. So I'm not going to go through that here, but I want to tell you, you should, in my opinion, my belief, have a farm. Okay. If you're not farming, by the way, farming is free. There's no cost to farming. Okay. Let me explain that to you real quick. So what you do when you farm is let's say you're sending out postcards. So on the back of your postcard, let's say you have 1,000 houses and you use every door direct mail, EDDM. Okay. That's going to cost you about 20 cents a house. That's $200 plus printing. Let's say it's another $50. You go to GotPrint, GOTPRINT.com. That's where I like to go. And on the back of your postcard, you split it up into 4. You have 4 different sections on the back of it. And you have maybe a house cleaner. It could be a carpet cleaner, a roofer, painter, handyman, doesn't matter. You got 4 trades on the back. Each one of those pays you $75 to go to 1,000 homes. Okay. It's like, hey, $75. And somebody might need handiwork or they might need the house painted. It's $75 to go to 1,000 houses. Are you in? Okay. And that means that you're going to have things. Gracias. So that means you're going to have, you're going to bring in $300. Okay. 75 times 4 is $300. Okay. So you basically have sponsors that piggyback on that mailing with you. Now you have the whole other side of the mailing. Okay. So you get one side, they get the other, or they get half of the other side. Super easy. You don't have, I never spent money that I didn't have to spend. And there's so many people that want to be in those same neighborhoods or go to those same houses that you're going to already. So that's called piggyback marketing. And it's super easy to implement. Now, the third thing that you want to focus on, and one day I'll do a whole class on this, because I think this is super important for people, because a lot of people don't understand what their niche is going to be. But I will say that if we went on for an hour or so, we could probably name 500 niches. Okay. There's so many different niches. I was just talking to a gentleman yesterday. He was talking about how in Austin, there's a lot of people relocating from California, and he's one of them, got his license now. So he wants to have a specialty niche where he helps people to transition from California to Austin, Texas. I mean, there's all kinds, I know a gal that only sells churches. Okay, that's her niche. She sells church buildings. And I know another guy, he's in our group now, who owns oneacreplus.com. His niche is helping people that want to purchase or sell their property on 1 or more acres. I mean, it goes on and on. Probate, divorce, it's unending. Okay, the number of niches, golf course communities, lakefront homes. I mean, it's just unending. Okay, but here's the question I want you to ask yourself. What do you offer that most of the other agents in this Zoom room do not? What do you offer that's different? Okay. And why should a client use you versus any other agent in your market? If you can't answer those 2 questions, you are a commodity. Okay. I want you to think about that for a minute. What's a commodity, by the way? A commodity is something that's common. You can get it anywhere. Okay. And ladies and gentlemen, you are not a commodity. Okay. Pamela says something that gets used up. It's like, hey, it's like corn, rice, potatoes, beans. Where are we going to buy them? Well, where is it on sale? See, and when you become a commodity, that's what people are looking for, discount pricing. Who's the highest bidder? Who's going to go with the cheapest price? See, when you develop a niche, you become known as the person that can do that. And then your phone starts ringing inbound, people calling you up, and you get to charge whatever you want. Okay. So when you think about a niche, you're thinking about a specialty, and a niche is what makes you relevant. Okay. If you don't have a niche, you're not relevant. I'll just say it that way. That's the way Kevin Cooper kind of shared with me. It made a lot of sense because, and think about it this way. Let's say, for example, and by the way, being relevant, that's not being mean, saying you're not relevant. Let's say I introduce you to a cardiologist. Okay. Is the cardiologist relevant to you? Yes or no? Well, if you don't have heart problem, it's not relevant. It doesn't mean that the cardiologist isn't a great cardiologist, doesn't do good work. It just means that that person is irrelevant to you. They don't relate. There's no relation there because you don't need a cardiologist. You can be friends, maybe go fishing together, but you don't need their services. Okay. So when you have a specialty, you become very relevant. You become irrelevant to a lot of people, but you become super relevant to the ones that really need you the most. Okay. So that's the secret formula. Your SOI, your farm, and your niche. Okay. Now your niche also has to be tailored and around your profile, your personality profile. If you don't like people, okay, if you don't like people, then you shouldn't be doing you shouldn't have a position in real estate that involves being around a lot of people because you don't like them. And there's all kinds of agents that have built a thriving career in real estate without having to work too closely with human beings. Okay. Now let's look at these 3 lead buckets again real quick because this is how it really works. If you want to do 6 to 10, see what I teach is high volume selling. I've never been able to wrap my mind around low volume. Selling 10 houses a year or 20 houses, it does not compute with my brain, and that's okay. Just like I have not been able to compute with these guys that sell 100 homes a month. Okay, that doesn't compute in my brain. But I couldn't imagine myself being involved in real estate and selling less than 10 homes a year. I mean, a month, 10 homes a month. It just wouldn't make sense to me to even, why bother, would be my attitude. So, but what I'm saying is those homes don't all have to come from one source. So if you wanted 6 a month, you got 3 from your SOI, 2 from your farm, 1 from your niche. Okay. If you're just shooting a dart at the board, you're getting leads from all over, but it's just like really answers to prayer. There's no systematic approach that you're taking to your business. If you want 10 per month, then you got 5, 3, and 2. Okay, for example, that's just an example. You actually could be getting 5 from a niche and 2 from your SOI and 3 from a farm. But the point is that you have a system and you have multiple buckets set up for revenue, multiple streams of revenue that are coming in. Okay. That is Lead Gen 101, guys. It's been a real pleasure sharing this with you guys. Lead Gen 101. If you have any final comments or thoughts, put them down. Somebody was asking what else about the farm. If you have questions about farming, just go into the Mentorship Masters portal and you'll find trainings that I have on farming. And also, if you look in your book, Triple My Listings, I have a whole segment in here about farming and how to do it, what to look for and everything. And then the other thing for farming is if you go to Success with Listings, I think farming is in chapter 8, 9, chapter 9 in Success with Listings. It's all about farming. Okay. So if you want to know how to create a farm, that's where you're going to find that information. Somebody asked, is this recorded? Absolutely. You'll find the recording. We're going to put it in, we'll add it to Workplace, and then we'll also add it to the Mentorship Masters portal. If you're not on the portal, you want to get on the portal because that's where everything lives. Cynthia says, I am going to a new market as well. How soon before we get there should I start marketing? I would say start now. Do as much as you can right now, Cynthia. There's another technique that I've used very effectively. I've never taught it before. What time? We're already at 12. I'll teach it to you another time. But this is really where you basically get into, you'll get into the you'll get into the spirit realm with your lead generation. It's a whole nother ball game when you get to that level. Lucas is asking about the current webinar. We did cover that at the beginning of this. That webinar is going to continue to every day. You can go to it and access it. So that's the new place that we now send people, mentorshipmasters.live, to watch the presentation of not only Mentorship Masters, but EXP. Chris says, yes, I'll post the replay to Workplace later. Hey, thank you guys. I love you. Judy's asking, how can she figure out the 7% turnover? I want to say that I cover that in the book as well, Judy, 7% turnover. Okay. But let me just share with you real quick. If the neighborhood has 500 homes, just times that by 7%. And that means that at least 35 homes have to sell per year for it to be a viable neighborhood. Okay. So the way you do that real quick is you look on tax record, find out how many homes are in that neighborhood. Tax record will tell you, pull up the subdivision, then, or the area. Then go to MLS and look at how many sales occurred in that area, that subdivision, roughly. And then you'll get the percentage of turn. You want it to be 7%, unless the sale price is really high, then you could maybe go for a lower percentage, okay? If it's like $800,000 homes, well, you might be able to live with a lower turn rate, lower percentage turn rate than that. But I do have whole trainings where I teach farming guys. So, this is just a 101 of this. Hey, thank you, Judy. Judy says, got it. Hey, I love you guys. You can unmute yourself, wave goodbye. Thank you so much. If you have any other questions for me, let's continue the conversation on Workplace. Jump on Workplace. Bye, y'all. Love you.
Thank you, Knolly.
Thank you, Knolly.
Bye.
Thank you, Knolly.
Everybody, have a great week. Bye.
All right, y'all. Hey, by the way, real quick, this is one that you can share with those of, you run across agents that are struggling with lead generation all the time. You can share this video with them. And they also know that they got a home right here in Mentorship Masters if they're not here already. All right, I'm out.